Okay, we're back with your daily crypto news update. We are doing this daily, and it's crypto news. Elizabeth Warren is stirring the pot. So the news article is Elizabeth Warren's anti-crypto crusade splits the left. Representative Richie Torres, the project of radically decentralizing the internet and finance strikes me as profoundly progressive cause. There's more to crypto than ransomware, just like there's more to money than money laundering. So, as we know, for many, many years, Elizabeth Warren has been on the side, quote unquote side, or has branded herself on the side of consumer protections. So while she was a professor at a Ivy League college, she talked about how credit card companies have these long contracts that no one is reading, basically. So she said because of that, they're basically doing usury laws, which is predatory lending, and taking advantage of people that are not smart enough to read or not doesn't have enough time to read the credit card contracts they are willingly signing. So she has been on a kind of consumer crusader, almost like Ralph Nader type consumer protection niche crusade for years and years and years. That's kind of what catapulted her to fame, if you will. Now she has come down hard on crypto because she says basically it's shady, that you can money launder with it, that a lot of bad actors are doing it, and it's scamming a lot of people. Now, I think there is definitely something to all those claims, but we have to look at what percentage of this is the case. Is this happening 99% of the time? In my opinion, absolutely not. Is this happening maybe 1 or 2% of the time? In my opinion, probably so. This is not financial advice, of course. This is just crypto daily news. But that being said, the daily news of the day is that she is splitting the Democratic Party because we have Richie Torres, who is coming out strong for cryptocurrency. A Democratic senator, Richie Torres, said that this is akin to the early stages of the internet. And if we shut it down now, this will be like thwarting a ton of progress in the internet. So then you have Richie Torres coming out and saying, don't thwart it, don't regulate it, keep it going. You have Elizabeth Warren, who is a big player in the Democratic space, coming out to say that it's sketchy and it needs protection and people need protection from it. Now, in the space of crypto, we have a lot of people that believe in the spirit of crypto, that not just want to get rich, the spirit of crypto being DeFi and decentralized. It's written into the white papers, it's written into the code. That is exactly what crypto is. And those enthusiasts say, we don't want gatekeepers. We don't want an SEC into crypto. We don't want it regulated. We don't want to say, hey, let's regulate the space, because then when you do, you put up gatekeepers. And then what happens with the gatekeepers? They get rich or they get powerful and they decide what happens with your money, what happens with your wallet, what happens with your keys. And that is not what people want that are crypto fundamentalists, if you will. Furthermore, we have other news coming today. Some of the big ones being that El Salvador's president has an 85% approval rating in a new Gallup poll thanks to his Bitcoin experiment. Now, we have seen a lot of things online about the Bitcoin experiment and how it's gone either really well or really poorly depending on who you talk to in El Salvador. However, according to what I've seen and covered, basically what they are talking about that has gone poorly is the things that is actually the fundamental rollouts. Like maybe the wallet doesn't have the best user interface or user interaction, or maybe some of the ATMs that they use have been questionable about where the money has come from to fund them. So it hasn't been about the actual theoreticalness of the experiment, because I think in theory, the majority of people, the vast majority of people like it that are in El Salvador, and also like it that are outside looking in. Of course, the World Monetary Fund, their International Monetary Fund, the IMF, says we're not going to help you with this, El Salvador. We know better and you don't. However, the El Salvadorian president has now tethered their financial future to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as opposed to something like the US dollar. Now, this is becoming more and more important and kind of more and more interesting since the US dollar and inflation is up to about 7%. So you can see that potentially a tethering to cryptocurrency levels that out in ways where you can't be necessarily affected by one big currency like the USD, which is our currency, our big D. That being said, though, there's still a high correlation between the US dollar's performance and cryptocurrency. And you see that in the stock markets. When stock markets go down, cryptocurrency goes down. When stock markets go up, cryptocurrency goes up. There's still a high correlation. Now, I think a lot of people are hoping that one day, soon, or maybe soon, that the market cap of cryptocurrency is going to be big enough that it's not affected by the USD. But right now, the market cap of cryptocurrency is only 1.78, 1.72, 1.79, depending on the day and where you're looking. And that's just not enough to be independent. You can be independent regulatorily, since we are, but it's not independent enough to be uncorrelated to what is going on. There are several news stories about cryptocurrency adoption in Ukraine, but not as much as cryptocurrency adoption in South Korea. And that should be something that we're looking at more. So crypto adoption to skyrocket in South Korea as President-elect imposes zero taxes on gains. So tax laws vary between countries, as we know, and the President-elect seems to implement what he's actually proposing during his campaign. Very strange for a politician, is one of the main comments. So they say that there will be no taxable gains on your cryptocurrency. Different governments around the world have different ways of classifying cryptocurrency. Some classify it as property, like we do here in the US. Some classify it as equities, as they do in other places, and then it's taxed differently according to the country's code, as we know. Here in the United States, it's actually pretty interesting, I think, because it is taxed as property, which means, and check with your financial advisor and tax consultant and all those nerds that do that, which means that you can sell it at a loss and buy back in very, very quickly, like a day later. Now, why would you want to do that? If you're losing money, why would you want to do that? That makes no sense. Let me tell you why, my little wombats. You would do that if you believe in, let's just say, Bitcoin, and you believe in the value of Bitcoin over the next 10 years that it's going to go up and up and up, and you want to hold that asset while it's at 38,000. This is what you would do. Since there's wild fluctuations, we've seen that all the time, down to 35,000, down to 29,000, whatever. Since there's wild fluctuations, what you would do if you are a long-term believer and you have a dip, you would sell it, buy it back, and let's just say your holdings dipped 14%. You sell it, and then you lock in those losses against any kind of taxable income you will have at the short-term gains level for the year. Does that make sense? So let's say I flip a property and I make $20,000 from that, and I lose $10,000 on Bitcoin, I sell and then rebuy back in. I can take that $10,000 and deduct it from my $40,000, leaving my taxable gain at $30,000. Which I think is pretty dope, because you still hold that asset and you can still ride it high if you believe it's going there, but you do not have to wait a certain time like you do if you did it in the stock market. So if you try to do this in the stock market, you'd have to wait 30 days or something like that. I think that's the minimum. And then you'd be able to buy back in, and by that time, who knows what could have happened. The stock could have shot back up, lots could have happened. But in cryptocurrency land, it's called the wash sale, and you can do it, which I think is just chef's kiss. Very interesting, very fantastic. This might also drive a lot of people that are crypto millionaires, crypto multimillionaires to South Korea. Now, I don't know about the visa program, but I do know that absconding from your home country to other countries, or getting a dual passport or dual citizenship, however you want to say it, is something that is very, very popular for tax optimization, I don't think you want to call it dodging, but for tax optimization. Now, just a little side note there, I've been looking into it, and honestly, if you're going to be a U.S. citizen, the best way is not an offshore account this is what other people say. I don't know. They say the best is not an offshore account. The best is actually moving to Puerto Rico. So I think a lot of famous YouTubers have moved to Puerto Rico. We've seen that happen over and over again. I think Jake Paul lives down there. I know the guy, John Lee Dumas, Dumbass reminds me of that commercial. But I know he lives down there, and they get to, I think, completely avoid short-term and long-term capital gains taxes, and also state and federal taxes, and they pay very, very little. So we can see that there is a Ethereum merge takes place on the Klein network. The Klein is the final public test before Ethereum's transition to proof of stake network. So this is really, really big, because the proof of stake, what a lot of people think is going to be the main thing in getting this to a massive level financially for the cost of Ethereum per Ethereum. So that is really, really interesting, and I think that that is something that we can completely see a potential price jump in. This is, once again, not financial advice, but I am planning on seeing a huge jump on that, because it's going to lessen the gas fees, it's going to lessen the traffic, and it's going to be a whole new way of interacting with cryptocurrency. All right, thank you for watching. Wanted to drop in a little information for you today, and y'all are the best.